President Trump's first week in office, there's been a lot to digest here. It's been filled with drastic changes, bold proposals, and controversial appointments. Today, a snag for the Trump administration when it comes to ending birthright citizenship. Mr. Trump wants to limit who becomes an automatic American citizen. The bottom line of his executive order, you must have at least one parent who's a U.S. citizen or a permanent U.S. resident. He signed this order on Monday, just hours after his inauguration. On Tuesday, 17 states, including California, filed lawsuits over this order. Today, a federal judge in Seattle called the executive order, quote, blatantly unconstitutional. He granted a 2-week restraining order blocking the Trump administration from putting it in place. This was a separate lawsuit from one California filed, but Attorney General Rob Bonta says he expects a similar outcome.
The law has been that if you are born in the United States of America, regardless of the citizenship of your parents, you are a U.S. citizen, period, full stop. And Trump, for the first time in the history of the United States, seeks to change that. And he is swimming very much upstream and climbing uphill. We believe we have the overwhelming weight of the merits in our favor. But yes, of course, anything could change. But you put us in any court where they're fair and objective and review the facts and do a rigorous analysis of the law, we win.
Yeah, and this could end up in the Supreme Court, which is obviously very conservative now. Attorney General Bonta was with us on Tuesday. Joining us tonight, Andrew Newcomb, an immigration attorney in San Jose. Andrew, nice to have you on the program. You are on the ground floor of this issue. You deal with undocumented migrants. Give us an idea of your conversations with them this week.
Things have definitely been tense. In the last few weeks, really, we've seen ICE raids pick up in different communities throughout California, which has caused definitely an apprehension. Certain people that I know are unwilling to take their kids to school. They're unwilling to check into hospitals or even sign up for public assistance, not knowing whether or not that kind of information could be relayed back to the federal government. So there's definitely a generalized sense of just nervousness, anxiety, panic about the future, about whether or not people are going to be safe in their homes and in their communities.
Andrew, what's your guidance for these undocumented families here in the Bay Area, whether they have a criminal record or not?
Well, to your point, the people that are in the greatest proximity of danger of deportation would definitely be people that have prior orders of removal and then people that have any kind of criminal history. Unfortunately, even if someone is a lawful permanent resident or a citizen, it would be wise to keep some kind of card indicating that, a green card or a passport. Unfortunately, a lot of ICE agents are going to be relying on things like racial profiling in order to make detentions, and it would probably be easier for people to just have that kind of documentation on hand. Similarly, if people are in the middle of an adjustment of status or a U visa submission or something like that, and they have a work authorization card, that card has the category of immigration process they're adjusting under the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Division of the federal government, and it can be something that an ICE official could look at very quickly. Beyond that, I think it's important for people to remember that they have the right to be safe and secure in their homes. They have that Fourth Amendment protection, even if they're completely undocumented. There's no requirement for you to open the door and speak to ICE officers unless they have a signed arrest or search warrant from a judge. But if you're in your vehicle, you do have to comply with any demands from an ICE officer, including lowering your window, stepping out of your car. However, it is not recommendable to speak with them. I know a lot of rights advocates and other immigration attorneys have little red cards that they're distributing to people that are kind of have different rights, that you're invoking your right to see an attorney, to remain silent, to have your case heard before an immigration judge. And so I would just stress and underscore that it's rarely, if ever, beneficial to engage in conversation with an ICE agent.
Andrew, you're giving us some very valuable information, but how do you communicate this to the people who need to hear it?
Well, so I volunteer at the San Jose Mexican Consulate. I'm there on Thursdays in the morning, offering free consultations. I try to get the word out through my radio program here in San Jose. And then just trying to, be on the news, be vocal, work with different community groups, and just try to come together and spread information, because that's the most powerful means through which this community can protect itself.
This is the reality that we are living in right now. Final question for you. We're talking about birthright citizenship. Does the Trump administration expect this order to be upheld, or are they doing this just to appease President Trump's base?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I mean, the legal framework, I have to agree with Attorney General Rob Bonta, is shaky at best. I mean, there have been cases that have made it up to the Supreme Court questioning this very issue, over hundreds of years ago, where people were certainly a lot less progressive when it came to the issue of racial harmony and immigrant justice than they are today. And the courts, even though they were conservative back then, roundly rejected this kind of reasoning. It's difficult for me to envision, even with the conservative Supreme Court that we have now, that something like this could ultimately get upheld. My opinion is that it could be a kind of a flood the zone sort of a strategy where he has a lot of different executive orders that are designed to cause mass panic and confusion. And this is kind of a bit of a red herring that he may or may not expect to even go through at all.
Andrew, appreciate your perspective and your input. Would like to have you back on the program because I don't think this issue is going away anytime soon. Have a good evening.